I don't think that there's anything more powerful than the idea of dying to make you reevaluate what you're doing with your life, your career, and with the gift God has given you. If this is the first time that you're coming across one of my videos, or we have never met in person, you may not know that in 2023 I was diagnosed with stage 3 inflammatory breast cancer. And honestly, it was one of the scariest times of my life. It really made me go into, I don't want to say a depression, but it sent me into a very dark hole. My first thought was, oh my gosh, I might die before I can actually get to live out the dreams that I have in my mind. And I know that may seem odd, but there are some things that I really want to do before I go to what my mother calls Sleep City. I really would like to own a home. I really would like to have a family. I really would like to build a business. I really would like to make my parents proud, and I want them to be alive to see it. But when you're like in your mid-30s and you get diagnosed with something as serious as cancer, it really made me stop and reevaluate and think, Jamila, what have you been doing for all of your 30s? You know, there's a saying that your 30s are your money-making years. That's the year you really started popping off in terms of work and career. But I was just at a stalemate. I really was not living at the potential that I knew that I could live. So when I got diagnosed with cancer, everything became very urgent. I really had to get it together. Quite apart from battling this thing, going through things like chemotherapy, surgery, radiation, and taking endless amounts of medication, I was thinking about, what if I don't have a lot of time left? Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to make an impact before I leave? How am I going to use the gifts that God gave me to steward? Now, although I had been working in marketing communication, that moment was the seed that planted a fire in me to really start making a difference, and not just for me, but making a difference in a way that could truly impact others, and it could leave an indelible mark not only on their lives but the lives of their families and the ones that they care about. So these are 6 business lessons that I learned because I got diagnosed with cancer. The first lesson I learned is life is too short to be sitting on your dreams. When I was in high school, I used to do karate, and we had this sensei who used to tell us a story about somebody who would be sitting on their gold. So he would say that there was this man who used to sit on the side of the street, and he would sit on a crate. And he would sit on this crate every day, and he would stretch his hands out, and he would beg the people who are passing for $1, for, he would beg them for things. And one day he got up off the crate and he said, I've never looked inside this crate to see what's in here. And he did some work and he got the crate open, and what do you know, he discovered that the crate was full of gold. He used the story to illustrate that there are so many people who are sitting on their gold. Because in order to truly discover what you're made of, what you can do, you have to apply some work. But they often never discover that gold because they don't put in the work to open the crate. They don't put in the sweat equity. They don't take the risks. They don't put themselves out there. And therefore, they die sitting on the gold inside. When I got diagnosed, I really started to think about that story because I knew that I had a lot of gold inside. But like most people who went to university and got higher education, I was hoping to find an opportunity to work. I was hoping to find an opportunity when somebody else would hire me. I was hoping that somebody would give me some gold. But when I got diagnosed, I started telling myself, Jamila, you have the gold. You just have to apply the work in order to bring it out there. This is actually the case with a lot of people. They are sitting on their gold. So they may be university educated, they may have gone through countless training courses, they may come from a family where people are talented, but they're just too afraid to put themselves out there. They worry about who's going to say no, who's going to reject them, who's going to be secretly saying bad things about them. But here's the thing, when God gave you a gift, He didn't give you a gift contingent upon what other people are saying and what they would allow you to do. He gave you that gift to tap into it. So don't sit on your goal any longer. Time to start putting yourself out there. Business lesson number 2 is too many women are literally one crisis away from losing their financial stability. When I would go for chemo, I would often get into conversations with other patients who were there to receive their treatment as well. And as I started talking to them, I would hear more and more about how they had to leave their job, they had to take time off, they're at risk of losing their insurance because they're not working anymore. And I myself was unemployed at the time because I too had lost my job just 1 month prior to being diagnosed. And I realized we all had one thing in common. We were one crisis away of losing all of our livelihood and our money. And when you're in a situation where your health is at risk, the last thing you need is your money supply drying up. This made me realize that more women need to put themselves in a position where they are generating income that is not contingent upon being hired in a 9 to 5. Because as soon as you are unable to clock in for work, your money clocks out. Becoming financially free is no longer an option. It is now necessary. And the fact of the matter is, we have so many avenues through which we can become financially free. Online businesses have exploded within the last 5, 10, 15 years. YouTube channels are funding people's whole lives. There is more opportunity now than ever. Therefore, you need to start thinking about how can I monetize what I already know in order for me to generate income, whether or not I am available to deliver it personally. Business lesson number 3 that I learned because I was diagnosed with breast cancer is that the pain point that you are trying to solve for is actually much closer than you think. I used to always have it in my mind that I had to figure it all out before I could offer people something. But the truth of the matter is, people don't need you to figure it all out for them. They just need you to solve that one problem that's in front of them right now. And I realized this when I would sit in the waiting rooms and I would get into conversations with other patients, and they would talk about the things that they were trying to access, whether it was compression stockings for their surgery, pajamas they could use post-surgery, mastectomy pillows to ensure that they were comfortable when they had to ride in a car on their way home from the hospital. These small recommendations helped people solve their problems on the spot. It didn't mean I had to help them make $1 million. It didn't mean I had to solve a huge problem in their life. They just needed the problem in front of them solved right away. And so many of these women were so grateful, because the truth is that they really would not know how to access these things if I didn't share it with them. And to me, those things were so simple to access. But to them, it was a big deal. So don't think that the problem that you have to solve for has to be massive. It just needs to mean a whole lot to the person that you are helping. The 4th business lesson I learned, which for me was the biggest one, was that selling is helping. Nothing more, nothing less. So I used to tell myself all the time that I cannot sell, because I had it in my mind that selling was this very gross, icky type of activity where you were trying to get people to buy things that they don't need. But again, when I would sit in the chemo suite with other women, and I'm realizing I'm telling them about doctors I've gone to, labs that I've tested at, items that I've bought, and I'm telling them where they need to get the items, it never actually dawned on me that I was selling the products of these companies. I only realized how good I became at selling other people's products when a Facebook contact of mine, who saw me post about my cancer diagnosis and the doctors I went to, decided to go to that same doctor to get her annual mammogram. When she went there, one of the nurses asked her, "How did you find out about us?" And she mentioned my name. And the nurse said, "Wow, you are like the 11th person who came in within the last couple of weeks who saw Jamila's video and decided to get their own mammogram." I can't tell you how that moment stuck in my mind, because I realized, wait a minute, Jamila, how can you say you can't sell when you are literally selling mammogram appointments? You are selling items off Amazon. The only difference with you is that you're not making any affiliate commission because you never actually thought about it as selling. And that is when I realized selling is helping, because when you sell people items that are aligned with them and items that you truly believe could help them solve a problem, people actually appreciate it. There's nothing slimy, gross, or icky about that. And I feel absolutely thrilled to be able to help people get an item to alleviate some issue that they may be experiencing. So if you are looking at this right now and you are absolutely scared of selling, remember, selling is helping. Nothing more, nothing less. Business lesson number 5 is that your story is the most powerful business development tool you will ever leverage. 6 months into my diagnosis, I had gone through several chemotherapy sessions and I was feeling stronger. In fact, I felt so good that I was ready to share my story publicly. Now, for someone who had been pretty active online, people started noticing that they were not seeing me at all. When I decided to share my story, it just so happened to be October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. A company hired me 3 weeks later to be a part of a panel discussion where I would speak about my experience and encourage staff members to get their annual checkups and to take care of themselves. I never imagined that sharing my story for a couple hours would put $1,000 into my pocket. That $1,000 has since quadrupled, and every year since that time, I have been asked by companies to come share my story. I have also leveraged that story to help build J. Bannister Branding, to help build my marketing consultancy, and to really allow people to see the human side of me outside of the marketing, the communications, and all of the business work. Sharing your story is so powerful because it opens up channels that you never imagined would open, and it allows you to connect with people who may be going through the same type of journey as you, or even people who are inspired by the things you've gone through and they see you as a source of motivation. Think about it. If you are building relationship with someone, that person is probably going to ask you questions about yourself. You are probably going to ask them questions about themselves, and as you guys exchange stories, the relationship grows deeper. This is the same principle that you leverage when it comes to your audience. When you share stories, and I'm not saying that you have to share every single story or put every single bit of your business onto the street, but I'm saying to use the stories in your life strategically to connect with the audience that you want to reach. It is your best business development tool because your story is unique to you and it will attract the exact type of people you are looking for. And the sixth business lesson that I learned because I was diagnosed with cancer is that the brand that you are building and the work that you're doing is not about generating money. It's about building a legacy. When you're faced with your own mortality, the last thing you're thinking about is how much money am I going to make at the end of this month? What you are thinking about is, will I ever recover from this? What is going to happen to my family if I die? What is going to happen to the projects that I'm working on and the people that are relying on me? Did I really fulfill God's plan for my life? You don't think about money. You start thinking about the impact and the legacy that you leave behind. Therefore, it is critical that when you are alive and well, that you start investing your time and energy into building things that would leave an impact. And it's not just about the money that's coming to you personally, but it is the value that you can add to people's lives around you. Whether that value is through speaking, through coaching, through a product, whether that value is through donations and giving back, you need to start thinking about how can I create impact beyond me? Because the truth of the matter is life truly is empty when you can't share it with others and when the work that you do doesn't have an impact on others. This is why one of the values that drives J. Bannister Branding is legacy. It's legacy from the point of view of, did I leave something for the next generation to use to help them get along just a little bit easier? These 6 business lessons have been so transformative for me, and I can tell you, if you take them and apply them to your life and your business, they will be transformative for you as well. So if you are looking at this video and you are sitting on your gold, or you are stalling on putting yourself out there, or you haven't even thought about how can I package what I already know so that I am not one crisis away from financial ruin, now may be the time for you to start thinking, how do I start putting myself out there? How do I start building a brand that could truly impact the people and the world around me? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it and subscribe while you're here, because every time you do, you help another woman who needs this message to discover this video. If you want to learn more about the programs that I have, the Visibility Accelerator, which helps you build a brand and put yourself out there more so you could impact more people, or Brand from Scratch, that teaches you how to package the skills that you already own in order for you to make more money, then click the links in the description to learn more. Thanks so much for checking out this video, and I will see you in the next one.